Hi, in this video I would like to show you 3 different ways that you can create a classroom section in code.org. So the first thing you want to make sure is that you're in code.org and that you're in the My Dashboard section. And when you scroll down, you'll see that it says Classroom Sections, add a new classroom section, and right over here we have a button to help you get that started. So go ahead and click on it. And you get this pop-up window. You get to choose how you want to add your students. Now they recommend for students who are age 4 to 8 to use picture logins. For students who are 9 to 12, they recommend using these word logins. So it's a pair of 2 words that the students would type in themselves. And then there's also their personal login. So if students have their own email accounts, they can just join your section. And there's a different video that I have for you so that you can see how to sync a Google Classroom. So let's just go through these one by one so you can see exactly what your options are. So for picture logins, I'm going to click on it. And I'm going to call this my picture class. And I'm going to say it's kindergarten because that would be in that age range. And I know that kindergarten is course A, so I'm going to start out with that. And I definitely want to use the 2018 version. I'm going to leave the lesson extras enabled, and I'm going to leave paired programming enabled. But I can always come back and change that if I want to. Now I'm going to hit save. And I can see that I have my picture class here. Now I want to add my students. So I click Add Students. And I'm actually, instead of typing each kid one by one, I'm going to click on Add Multiple Students. And what I did is I created a list of kids that I'm just going to paste inside. And I'll click Done. So now all of my students are in. I'm going to save all. Oh, but before that, I'm going to go ahead and set their ages. They're all in kindergarten, so I'm just going to set them at age 5. If you don't set their age, then when the students first log in, a pop-up window will show up and it will ask them how old they are. And they can just put in how old they are. This is just to keep things safe and to help code.org understand how their programs are being used. So I'm going to click Save All. And now my students are ready to go. I can click on Show Secret to see their little passwords. Also, I can remove the student by using the little down arrow, but I don't want to remove this student. I'm actually going to go back to View All Sections. And I want to show you that if you click on the little arrow down on the right side, you can click Print Login Cards. And here are all the login cards for the kids so they can see what their picture will be for their password. Now you might be wondering what it looks like when a student logs in with this kind of password. So let's look at Elton. He has this like knight who's wearing yellow, and I'm going to use this direct URL so I get directly to that website. So when I use that direct link, it takes me to my class and I can see, oh, there I am, I'm Elton. I click on Elton and I find my picture and it lets me sign in. So that's not too bad. And now I'm going to sign Elton out. And I'm going to go back to my dashboard. Now I want to create a Word login class. So I'll go to use Word logins and I'll call it my Word class. And I'll make my 4th grade class the Word class. And I know 4th grade is course E. And I'm going to leave everything enabled and I'll click save. So here's my Word class and I want to add students. Once again, I am going to add multiple students at one time. And I'm going to paste them in. I'm going to go ahead and set all of their ages so it doesn't bug them later on. And I'm going to hit save all. And here's an example of what their passwords look like. So we just have 2 random words, and you can still, if you go back to view all sections, you go to the drop down arrow on the right and you can still print the login cards. So it's pretty simple. And just so you can see how it works, we'll use Elton again. I'll put in the link at the top. I'll pick Elton's name. And let's see. His password is thin single. And we can sign in. All right, so now he has access to all the courses. So we're going to create one more section. Go to Create Section. And we're going to do the personal login. So go to Use Email Logins. And I'm going to call this Email Class. I'm going to make this grade 5, which would be course F. I'm going to leave everything enabled and I'm going to click Save. Now, I won't be able to add students in here because they are going to create their own code.org accounts and then use my section code to join. Now there's a few ways for your students to join your class when they're using their own email logins. One thing they can do is just go to code.org and create their own accounts. And then they can use this link to connect to your class. So I'm going to actually copy that link. And we'll bring this little screen over. So if your students haven't created their accounts on code.org yet, they can do that right here. And then when they register, they'll be a part of your class. Or they can go to sign into your account. So if they didn't use like a Google Classroom account, they can sign in here. But if they did use Google, they can just use their Google account. And I'm going to log into one that I have set up. All right, so now it says you've registered for email class. And now I have access to all of the lessons that my teacher wants me to do. And there's one more option. If you go to my dashboard and you scroll all the way down, there's a join a section. It's what you used this morning when you joined my class. So at the end of this URL, we have VQJYWB, and those are the letters. I'm just going to copy those. Those are the letters that would go in this section. So as you can see, it's really easy for you to start building up a lot of classes, especially if you're practicing and you're trying to figure out how to use code.org. So you might want to delete some things. So for my email class, I haven't actually added any students, so all I need to do is go to this drop down arrow and I can delete the section. Now for my Word class, I already have students in this class, so I won't be allowed to delete that section unless I delete each student out of there. But what's nice is that I can archive the section, which means I get to save that class, but I don't have to see it on my dashboard, and it allows students to still access their class even if it's summertime, as long as they remember how to log in. So I'm going to go ahead and archive this section. If you need to go back and see a class that you archived, you can click on this View Archived Sections button, and all of your classes will show up. So here is my Word class that I just recently archived. And then you can hide it again. All right, so I have this class set up. My students are ready to go. They're so excited. They just want to do code.org all the time. They want to go home and code. They want to code during recess. They're coding maniacs. So I have to contain it a little bit because I don't want them to get ahead of the class to the point where they're missing out on information that they need. So what I can do is click on course. So I'm going to go for my picture class and I'm going to click on course A. And I can see all of the different lessons that are available. Okay, that looks a little more exciting. So I don't really want my students to worry about these unplugged activities. So on the right side, I can click Hidden. And you can see by the dotted or dash line border that this is now hidden to the student. And I do want the kids to be able to see the Angry Birds because that's what we're going to be doing. But I don't need them to see Happy Maps yet, and I don't need them to see Lesson 6. So I can actually hide all of these lessons from my students until they actually need them. So that way they don't just blow through things without going through the necessary lessons. So let's take a look at what a student would see on their end of the program. So I'm going to go back to my dashboard so I can get the link that I need. I'm going to go to the print login cards again. I'm going to pick on Elton here. I'm going to get that direct URL and copy it. I'm going to do an incognito window. So I put that login in, or the URL. I'm going to click on Elton, and Here's his password. I'm going to sign in. And so the only lessons that Elton can see are Unspotted Bugs, Stevie and the Big Project, and Sequencing with Angry Birds. But I, the teacher, can see all of the lessons. Okay, so there are 14 lessons, and Elton can only see 3 out of those lessons. So that's a really helpful feature. And if I want the students to be able to see it, I can just click visible. So that's pretty simple.